Welcome to the premiere episode of The Scoop. My name's Chris. I'm here with my co-host, Dokk. And today on the episode, we have our guest. We have our guest, Big Daddy Ween.
What up, dog?
How we doing?
Oh, phenomenal.
All right.
This episode is titled Camille, Kostek. Yes, the one that Gronk retired for. I retired for that too, just saying.
We're starting here in week 5 due to getting, suspended for 4 weeks for performance-enhancing drugs because I'm 4-0 and nobody, even me, knows how I started that way. Shout out Con, Roger Goodell. Without further ado, Doc, why don't you get us talk about what we're going to do today?
On the docket today, as in Darnell Dockett, for all of those hardcore football fans out there, if you remember him, he's a defensive tackle from Arizona. Obviously, we have our guest, Mr. Camerica.
Your boy.
We will have a Week 4 matchup review. We will have NFL news, the Listeners Fantasy Football League that I'm very excited about, our Boom Bust, and Starter Sit of the Week, Moves of the Week in our League of Record, the Watch of the Week, 3 tough questions, a Week 5 preview, and 30 seconds of what grinds my gears. Let's get rolling. Starting with Top, Colin Bottom, they thrashed Team Tracks behind huge weeks from Chris Godwin, Cooper Kupp, and the Patriots defense. They worry about that later. Goodell's wide receivers outscored Logan's by 52 points. Next, the Rick Rangers rode that Chubb like a porn star en route to a win against Recycling Bin, who had a great week from Nelson Aguilar, a solid 0 points. Next, Ty's Tent finally breaks through to earn his first win of the season with help from the only good white running back in the NFL, Mr. Christian McCaffrey. Newcomer had a rough week from DeAndre Hopkins, who somehow threw a pick. I don't know what the play calling was on that. The next matchup we have is Shroot Farms, who ended up plowing the touchdowns on Thursday night en route to a 78-point lead. Downs could never recover, and with no help from Adam Thielen, lost. Next matchup is Sniffers Row, or known as Casey's favorite.
Yurt.
He spent $24 of fab to get the solid 3.7 points from Tom the Goat Brady. Drogon's Dracarys got a garbage time touchdown from Eric Ebron on his only catch of the day, and Leonard Fournette stumbled his way to 225 rushing yards. Sniffers Row ended up tipping the stripper a little too much, and instead of pissed in his face, ended up getting a face full of a dirty asshole as he drops to 0-4 and in a very dark place. And lastly, in the battle of the undefeateds, it was Johnny.
You're
the Camerica Empire.
Oh, okay.
Lamar running back Jackson was a high scorer in a relatively disappointing outcome for a battle of undefeateds. Camara did not represent the Empire well, only scoring 11.
I agree.
Johnny moves to 4-0, as said earlier. The only undefeated team remaining ends up taking that stripper home to celebrate.
Weird.
And next we have is NFL news of the week. We're going to start out with someone on KC's team, Melvin Gordon. KC, what do you think about Melvin coming back?
Oh, I don't want to say I called it, but I called it. I'm very happy he's coming back. Obviously, I took a huge risk drafting him. I did not know he was going to come back this early. I put a decent chunk on his head. I was hoping for him to come back. He is. I'm excited. He's in the lineup this week. I'm a little shaky about it, but what can you do? What do you think, Ben?
I think it's a pretty big move, obviously. Like, it kind of tips the scales really big in your favor, especially with all the injuries, with Saquon being hurt. I think that he reclaims his workload this week. Denver got destroyed by Fournette last week. I think that Melvin gets run and doesn't ever really give up his job. I think Eckler's still going to be a factor, but overall I think it's Melvin's job going forward.
Yeah, and that, like you said, it's a huge thing, especially with me having Saquon go down. It's a beautiful thing seeing that man put his helmet back on this week.
Doc, what do you think?
I think Melvin Gordon's going to come back. I don't think he'll quite be what he was last year. You know, he was probably like right around the top five running back. I do think Austin Eckler will cut into his output for fantasy.
I mean, they both were pretty great last year together.
Eckler wasn't that great at the beginning, though.
No.
And that will also cut into Austin Eckler's output as well.
I think also this will hurt Keenan Allen, too.
Mm-hmm. Ball's going to be on the ground a little bit more now.
Yep.
All right, moving on. What do we think about Vontaze Burfict just absolutely trying to kill somebody for about the 20th time this year? What do you think, Doc?
You know, not really surprised. I mean, looking at the play, like, Doyle's already on the ground. Why do you need to hit him?
I mean, because we try to concuss everybody. Everybody, you get a CTE. You get a CTE. Everybody in this league gets a CTE if Vontaze Burfict has anything to say about it.
I don't know, as a viewer, I love violence in my football, but, you know, obviously, you know, getting decapitated could kill someone. I don't know if that's, like, you know, legal, honestly. I think we're out there trying to really hurt people. I think that's kind of, like, you know, especially with him repeating it so much, I think he kind of has to be out of the league at this point, but only a year-long ban, so I think we'll see him back pretty soon.
Yeah. Other big news, pretty cool to see. Saquon Barkley's out there. He's making cuts. I mean, obviously, I don't think he plays this week. I'm a little worried about him. I hope he doesn't play. I hope he takes another week off. But, I mean, I don't know if you guys saw the video I saw. He was looking pretty healthy when he was making those cuts in practice, dancing around, having a good time.
I didn't see that. I think he's out 8 weeks.
All right. What else do you have for us, Doc?
You know, I don't think that Saquon Barkley is from Earth. He's probably an alien because I don't know how someone comes back, like, what was it, 10 days after a high ankle sprain? Like, that's just unheard of.
And he looked good. I mean, I know, like, sometimes, you know, they hit the field and they're kind of gimping around and they don't look good, but he was cutting hard. He was dancing. Didn't look like he had any pain. It was really cool to see. For me as a fantasy owner, I just hope they hold him out another week, make sure he gets real healthy. Other big news, since we're from Minnesota, Stephon Diggs, he made it back to practice. That is huge. A lot of concern going around. We all thought, you know, maybe the team is making another bad decision and getting rid of a really good guy. But he's back. Hopefully he stays for a while. What do you think about that, Big Ben?
I don't think there's much to it, to be honest. I think it's being kind of overblown. I think Diggs is upset. I don't know what he's upset about exactly. I mean, I know we're playing bad. I don't know if it's because he's getting mad about his workload, even though he got 7 for like 118 or something like that last week. I guess I'm kind of just weirded out by it. I don't think we're going to trade him. I don't think he has that much value, especially with this contract.
Yeah, a lot of money for a guy who hasn't been putting up big numbers this year. You got anything to say about that, Doc?
You know, I mean, all the talent's there for Diggs. I do think, you know, he's not like Adam Thielen where he's, you know, kind of backing Kirk Cousins. He came out and said, oh, it was kind of disappointing that we didn't throw the ball last week at all. We can't expect to rush for 180 yards a week. For him to then after that come out and like back Kirk Cousins, I think that's huge. And I'd rather have that on my team than like Diggs, who's like sitting there pounding and didn't speak to the media until like today.
Yeah, I heard a thing that he hadn't talked to the media like in full for like 2 weeks. So, and I know when the team's going down, you just got to kind of be there for each other. I mean, teamwork and everything is a big deal, especially with how the team, you know, we have a lot of talent on our team, and we're playing against a couple of bums coming up this week. I mean, hopefully we can pull it together and really, you know, put a hurt on these guys and get back in our rhythm. Do you have any other news for us, Doc?
I do not. Ben, do you have any?
I got nothing. The other two stories that I couldn't really think of. So.
Perfect. So, Doc, why don't you introduce this fantasy challenge of the week for us and the viewers here?
All right. So, this is going to be called the Listeners Fantasy Football League, or the LFFL.
Very creative. I love that.
Yeah. So, each week, however many people play, let's say we get 3 people to play. I will select 4 players, and in that week, we will just draft from those 4, right? And so the 4th goes to what we call the ghost. The ghost is just so everyone has an option and they aren't stuck with one person.
Okay.
So each week you accumulate points. The scoring system will be the same as our league of record. So PPR, all that jazz.
Full point PPR, yep.
So each week we will draft. Team will get points, right? Or each guy will get points.
Yep.
And so we play however many weeks. Let's just say it's 10. And after those 10 weeks, we total up all the points for all the people playing in this league.
Okay.
If anyone finishes below the ghost, they have to do the punishment.
Okay.
What's the punishment?
That we don't know yet.
Figure it out. Depends on who loses.
And we actually want to hear what you guys have for a punishment.
Yeah, so
that's a little bit it's an interactive little league. I like that.
Yeah, when I'm checking in on the mailbag, I better see some punishments that involve Doc having to down a 4 loco or something.
Oh yeah.
No. I'm just running it.
Doc gets
that way.
If the ghost finishes last 3 weeks in a row, Doc has to shotgun a 4 loco.
I'm down.
I don't know about that, but all right.
All right, let's get into it though. So who are we picking this week?
What?
Let's get into it. So who we have to pick from this week, Doc?
That's going to start next week.
Oh.
I want to have the listeners be able to chime in and be like, all right, I want in or I want out.
Okay.
Right. I mean, we are in the first week here over at the Scoop. Sorry for the hiccups here. All right, so now we're moving into the boom bust of the week.
And starts it.
Thank you. All right, so we'll start with the week 5 first game starting tonight. Rams at Seahawks. Doc, go ahead.
I think this will be a good game. Seattle's kind of just that really tough team. I think it's in Seattle, right?
Yep.
So I think that'll be a really tough game. Honestly, I think my bust, I know they're playing right now, and I hope he hasn't scored yet. Bust is going to be Ty Gurley. I just don't see him getting enough touches or enough work. I think they're kind of saving him for the end of the year for a playoff run. In terms of the start, I will say, and this is late, obviously, I would start Tyler Lockett. Lockett's right. I think he has a good opportunity here at home. They will have to put up points. They're playing the Rams. The Rams defense showed last week. I mean, they have 55 points. I mean, that's awful.
Yeah, who put their defense in our league? Who did that?
I have no idea. Chris is dying, though.
Yeah.
He's really dying.
All right, Ben. What's your take on this week?
So are we going around the table and doing same game all the way through? Or is he taking a turn?
We'll just move on to the next game. Next game.
Okay.
Jets at Eagles.
Okay. Going to be a blowout. Obviously, at Philadelphia, I don't see anything really else to say besides that. Obviously, the third string quarterback. Don't see the Jets doing much. I'm busting Le'Veon hardcore this week. Eagles have limited running backs tremendously this year, and I think that obviously their secondary is horrible, but they're playing against just a bad team, obviously. So I think that it's just a completely dominating win. I'm starting this week. This is a tough one for me because I don't know if Deshaun Jackson's playing yet. But if Deshaun Jackson does not play, I am starting Nelson Aguilar this week. Even though he put up 0 last week, I see him bouncing back pretty big. Jeffries that I don't think he's fully back yet. But, like I said, blowout, 35-10 Bears.
All right, so then I got Jacksonville at Carolina. It's a tough one because there's not a lot of talent there outside of McCaffrey, and I really don't want to pick him for my boom. I'm actually going to go Jacksonville with my boom pick. I'm going to boom Leonard Fournette. I know he just came off a big week, but with Gardner Minshew having an injury to his knee, I don't know necessarily if he's going to play. If he doesn't play, they're just going to lean into him, and he can have another huge week. My bust comes from that same team with DJ Chark. I mean, he's been playing out his mind. He's been getting a lot of catches, a good amount of yards, and he's got a touchdown every game this year. I just got to take him for my bust. So now moving into the hometown game, Vikings at Giants. Dokk.
We're actually going to give this one to Ben.
Well, you're not prepared. Okay. Well, I think there's also another easy one. It's going to be another blowout. I think the Vikings come out with pretty much with a vengeance here. Obviously, coming out with last week with the Bears. I'm sitting Wayne Gallman this week. Vikings have limited running backs. I don't think Gallman's that good either. I think he kind of had a fluky week where he's against a team where they threw the ball over like 6 or 7 times, basically. They had the ball the whole game. I'm sitting him. I am booming on the other side, Stephon Diggs. I think he's kind of had a lot of publicity around him. That secondary is horrible despite how they played last week against Washington. Washington is awful. I see Diggs just going completely bananas this week with all the rumors and stuff like that, kind of shutting everything up. I think it's another blowout, 35-17, actually. They score a touchdown late, the Giants do, in favor of the Vikings.
All right, Doc, you got the next game then. That game is Falcons at Houston.
I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. I think both teams' offenses, especially their air attacks, will be really good. That being said, my boom is going to be DeAndre Hopkins.
Oh, pick an easier target, gee.
Yeah, quite a
No.
boom there.
You haven't heard boom, though. He's going to have 12 catches, 180 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Okay.
That's going to be a huge week. You know, that Falcons secondary is just awful.
Yeah, love that I'm playing DeAndre this week. Love it.
And my sit is going to be Devonta Freeman. I just think it's going to be a shootout, and he won't have any opportunity to run.
I think he's a good pass catching back, though. Could be a good game for him overall. All right, so my next game, Tampa Bay at New Orleans, Buccaneers Saints. My bust of the week has got to be Michael Thomas. I know he's the number 1 target. I think this Bucs defense has actually shown us some grit, but the reason why I'm busting Michael Thomas is because I think Kamara comes back. Kamara had a lousy game last week. He was playing me. It's the curse of the Ruppy. He wasn't going to play well. I love it. But this is a high-scoring game, so I could be wrong, but I'm just going to bust Michael Thomas. I'm going to boom Ronald Jones. I know it sounds stupid, but he looks good. And he had a back-to-back good games. I know it could be Peyton Barber's show. I don't know. It could be just all, throws to Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, but booming Ronald Jones. Moving on to the next game is Buffalo at Tennessee. What do you got for us, Ben?
Well, I don't want any part of this game, to be honest with you. I think it's going to be a very low-scoring game. If Josh Allen doesn't play, I would just say sit at all of your Buffalo players. But I think the consensus right now is that he is probably going to play. But either way, I'm sitting Frank Gore in this one. Tennessee has been stifling running backs all season. Last week, I believe they played Atlanta. Freeman didn't do anything. Week before was that Thursday night game against Jacksonville, and Fournette didn't do anything until the very last drive of the game, really a 70-yard run. If he didn't have that run, he would have had negative rushing yards.
Doc.
Doc.
Yeah.
On the other side of Tennessee, it's really tough to pick in this one who I think is going to boom. But if I had to pick one, I'm going to go with A.J. Brown. I think Tre'Davious White shadows Corey Davis in this game. And I think that A.J. Brown has a couple more big catches, maybe a couple touchdowns. I'm going to say, he doesn't quite get the volume that I like. So I'm just going to say 2 big catches, 95 yards, and 2 touchdowns in this one. But with that being said, those are the only 2 touchdowns scored this game. I think Tennessee wins 14-3 in this one.
All right. Next game is Arizona at Cincinnati. A battle of holy shit, these teams suck. Go ahead, Doc.
Battle of holy shit, these teams suck is absolutely right. Can they just tie?
I mean, Cardinals have done that already, so it wouldn't be a change of pace.
Yeah. I think my start is Kyler Murray. I think he will have a big game. Pittsburgh, they just scored, 29 points on Cincinnati last week, I want to say.
Something like that, 24, I think.
And with that being said, obviously Fitzgerald.
We didn't expect you to be right anyways.
You can start him. You can start Larry Fitzgerald. As for the Bengals, I'm actually going to boom Joe Mixon. He has not had a very good season thus far. He's only had the 1 week where he scored a touchdown, and that's been it. But I think this is the week that he is going to put up solid numbers, nothing crazy. Maybe like 100 total yards and a touchdown, a couple of catches, so right around that 20-point area. I have the Cardinals beating the Bengals 27-21.
I mean, the Cardinals did just let up a hell of a game to Chris Carson, a lot of yards on the ground, and he logged 21 missed tackles. That's unreal. The Cardinals' defense sucks. All right, my game is the Patriots at the Redskins. It's Super Bowl contendees versus, perhaps maybe the worst team in the league, even worse than the Dolphins. I don't know how you do that. But my boom of the week, this is bold, Sony Michel. I'm playing against him. I hate him. I don't think he's that good, but I think the Patriots try to get him right in this game, especially a low-risk game. If they lose this game, they're chumps. But they're going to try to get Sony Michel going. I'm going to pick 140 yards and 2 touchdowns on my face in our hometown fantasy league. My bust of the week, yet again, is Tom Brady. I don't think Tom Brady gets a lot of work in this game. I think maybe he gets 100 yards and a touchdown, 150 and a touchdown, and then I think they kind of get away from the passing game. Moving into Sony Michel, Patriots rout the Redskins 42-7, and that's lucky to even get 7 on that stifling D.
Okay, hold on. So let me do this straight quick. Tom Brady's going to score 1 touchdown, but they're going to put up 42.
Yeah, they're going to get a lot of balls on the ground, bro.
Okay.
I'm hoping my boy James White equals out with Sony, but I doubt it.
Are we going to come back and revisit these next week on the pod?
Yes. I don't know if I want to because I think I might have made some pretty bold picks.
It's a work in progress.
Yeah, we'll find out. We'll see how long this one runs. I'm talking too much. Moving on, AFC North, Doc, you got Ravens at Steelers.
So in this game, division rivals, obviously. Steelers without Big Ben. That being said, my bus is going to be Juju.
He's been a bust all year.
Horrible pick.
Yeah, I think, he's just not going to have it, especially against that Ravens defense. They're pretty good. They get after the quarterback.
They fucking sucked last week.
To Cleveland, but yeah, you're right.
As for the Ravens, I'm going to boom Marquise Brown, or Hollywood Brown. I think he's going to have a big day. I'd say around 7 catches, 140, and a touchdown. And I'm picking the Ravens 28, Steelers 13 in a row.
Yeah, they suck. All right, Benny, you got a really hard one to pick here. You got Chicago at Oakland.
Chicago at Oakland. Yeah, this one's gonna be a very I don't know. It could either be really somewhat decently scoring or pretty low scoring. I think at Oakland, I think that both teams kind of figure out a way to both offenses kind of figure it out. For Chicago, I'm starting, I think almost everybody except Chase Daniel. But if I had to pick one, I'm picking Dave Montgomery this week. I'm starting Dave Montgomery. Gonna have a decent. I think this might be his breakout week. We've been waiting for it all year, but I don't know. I'm a really bold pick there, but I am going to also on the other side. I'm going to bust Tyrell Williams. He's found the end zone every week so far this year. I think it stops this week. I think it's been kind of fluky. I don't think Tyrell's that good at football, but I could be wrong about him. I'm going to say something crazy, 1 for 7 yards, 1 catch for 7 yards. I think Chicago pulls this one out though, 27-24 on the road.
Close one. Next one, we go to Denver at your boys, the LA Chargers. Doc, why don't you take this one?
I'm a huge Chargers guy. I think it's going to take...
Huge.
Whatever. I think it's going to take a week for Melvin Gordon to get going. With that being said, my start is going to be Austin Eckler. I think he's going to have one more week. That Broncos defense can't stop the run at all. They just gave up 225 to Leonard Fournette. As for the Broncos, my start is going to be Cortland Sutton. I think he's going to have a good week. I think he'll find the end zone. As for the score of that game, I see the Chargers winning 31, Broncos 17.
All right, on this next game, we're going to get everybody's take because we all hate the Packers here. We got Green Bay at Dallas. Why don't we start with you, Ben?
I think everyone kind of expects this to be like a little bit of a high-scoring game. I don't think so. Both really good defenses, kind of underrated in my opinion. I think we get a similar game to Dallas and New Orleans on Sunday night, where I think both teams trying to grind it out. It is in Dallas. Am I correct in saying that?
Yep.
It's in Dallas. I think that just gives Dallas the advantage in this one. I think Zeke runs all over Green Bay in this one. I think they really lean on him. They haven't really leaned on him that much this season. I don't know why. I think this is probably the breakout game for him. So I'm booming him. I'm thinking 20 for 220 yards this week, and that's pretty big. But I'm gonna say 220 and 2 scores for my boy Zeke, and I'm sitting. And this is really dependent on if Tay Adams is in play, but I think he's not playing. Marcus Valdez-Scantling, I don't think Green Bay gets much going against those corners. I don't think that the receivers besides Adams are any good. So I'm going to say the Cowboys kind of win this pretty easily, but kind of a slugfest, like I said, 17 to 10.
So nobody else scores but Zeke on that team?
Yep, no one else.
All right. And I realize now that the way the NFL.com Week 5 schedule does not give me Bears Raiders, or doesn't tell me who's at home. So I've been reading it as top v bottom, and I just realized that it's the other way around. So just clarifying that I'm not a complete idiot. All right, Doc, what's your take on this game with the shitty Packers?
As much as I hate to say it, I think Aaron Jones is going to pop off. 100-plus yards, at least a touchdown, a couple catches. That being said, I do think the Cowboys end up winning. Kellen Moore is a great offensive mind. I think he'll find a way to beat that tough Packers pass defense, along with Zeke having a huge day. My pick is going to be the Cowboys 27, the Packers 24 in a close game.
All right, my take on this one is just I can't agree with you or disagree with you more, Doc. I think Aaron Jones is kind of a bum. I think he's got all the intangibles. He's fast. He's bigger. He runs through people sometimes. I just don't think he's got it in the head, man. I think he's a little lost up there. But my pick for the boom is Tony Pollard. Yeah, because I'm not gonna pick Zeke because that's easy. I think the Cowboys manhandle the Packers so much that they put Tony Pollard back in, man. So I think Zeke has a better game, but I'm saying pick up Tony Pollard, play him in all your leagues. I think he gets 10 attempts, 112 yards, 2 touchdowns. Just slaughterhouse in that Packers run defense. They're dog shit. On my boom or my bust would be Dak Prescott. Like I said, I think they're going to be on the ground. I think Dak puts up less than 10 this week. I think, the Packers just suck at stopping the run. They're just terrible. They're just terrible all around. So I think the Cowboys going to keep it on the ground, too, with the score. I think the Cowboys manhandle the Packers 42-10. Moving on to the next game. Yeah, I think the Packers suck. I hate them. Not really, but anyways, moving on. Next game, I think, is going to be a great one. We'll go back to Doc on this one. Colts, Chiefs, what you got?
Well, I'm going to be a little biased here, so I'm going to pass this one off to Ben because I have so many of my own opinions.
Okay.
I'm prepared.
Here's my thing. It's an Arrowhead. It's on Sunday night. I think the Chiefs slaughterhouse the Colts here. So I'm not sure if I should start anyone on the Colts, or I think I'm sitting everybody. If I just start one person, it's probably Jacoby Brissett, because just because I think they're going to get a couple of garbage touchdowns at the end. I think KC's defense shows up in prime time for some reason, especially since, like I said, it's at Arrowhead. On the other side, this is kind of not really a bold one. I'm gonna boom Sammy Watkins. He's kind of not done anything since week 1, but I think this is a really big, just high scoring game for the Chiefs here. I think 40 plus points. Let's say Sammy Watkins is gonna get 8 for 120 for in a touchdown maybe, but. Like I said, really high-scoring game for the Chiefs. 42-14 in favor of the Chiefs, like I said.
Shout out Sammy Watkins. Thanks for marking Ingram downs. Appreciate you. All right, Doc, I'll give you the last game of the week. Browns, 49ers. What do you got for me?
How about a shitty game, huh?
Hey, fuck you.
Anyways, this is kind of a tough game to sort of analyze. I think my boom is going to be Baker Mayfield.
Yurt.
I think he will have a good game. He'll have 302 and also rush for 30 yards. I don't think he'll get in the end zone on the ground, though. As for the 49ers, I'm going to say you sit George Kittle. I just have a feeling it's not that I'm playing downs at all, and he has Kittle. It's just, I don't know. I don't think Kittle's going to have a good week. That being said, I think the 49ers lose and are no longer an undefeated team.
Wow.
I have the Browns 27, 49ers 16.
Oh, man. I just love me some Baker, though. You could have talked about Baker more if you wanted to. That would have been cool. All right. So now we're moving into our segment called Moves of the Week. On a podcast that we will name The Hog, that we respect over there. They talked about some teams that needed to make that needed to make some moves this week. So this is talking about maybe a good move over the week, a bad move, or a move that you think somebody needs to make. So why don't we go ahead and we'll start with Ben on this one.
So big pickup this week for Dokk, who's on the podcast right now. $44 on Jordan Howard. I love the confidence. I don't think Jordan Howard's that good, but you know what? You need the RB depth. I really like that. I think Dallas needs to figure out how to trade. I think if he could learn how to trade, I think he'd actually be not that bad. But
I think he needs to know what the value of some players are before he trades them.
He traded for a receiver who's not going to be doing much after as soon as next week. It seems like Tyreek Hill's probably back next week. For Mark Ingram, who's a high-end RB2. Treyway Alshon Jeffrey's been a top 20 receiver the last 2 years. In PPR scoring for Carlos Hyde, who's not even really a starter on any fantasy team. So, I think everyone needs to stay put for a while. I think we're all kind of freaking out. We're only in week 5. There's been a lot of trades or whatever, so I think everyone needs to just chill, relax, and just wait till after the bye weeks before we start making big moves.
Drink some water and take a Xanax on the trading block. That's what Ben says here. All right, Doc. What's your take on all the moves of the week?
I don't think it'll happen, obviously, this week or next, but as soon as Sam Darnold comes back, I think that Chris Herndon pickup by Snippers Row will be a factor later on. He's got to get on that winning track, though, for it to matter. As for, there was a big trade. It was between Schrute and Comerica.
That's me.
Yeah. Kind of a lot of big names. I mean, Cooks is a good wide receiver. Allen Robinson is a big name. Juju's a big name. All in all, I think this is a pretty fair trade. I mean,
coming from the guy who immediately said veto in the chat. Let's just throw that out there.
True. But, Juju, I mean, he has all the talent. He just has that
he is a guy who looks a lot like Sam Dock in the backfield. Noodle arm.
True that. Allen Robinson's to his backup QB. I think that might actually help him, though. I think
who's Chase actually Daniel, better in that quarterback room? Let's be honest.
Yeah, seriously, I think Chase Daniel's going to be throwing Allen Robinson a lot. As for Brandon Cooks, he's hit or miss. He's either getting 26 points a week or he's getting 4. And Ronald Jones, if he takes over that job, he'll be a good, solid RB2 or flex. position. Chris, what do you got?
You kind of took it from me, and I'm a little upset. My pickup of the week is definitely Chris Herndon, man. That's a big move. That's my dude. I appreciate the pickup. I don't know if I'm not 100% sure, but Poe comes to me for the tight end talk. I'm the tight end whisperer to him. I'm just kidding. He's going to say, no, I'm not. I know. My bad move of the week, it still stems from last week. I still can't believe it. Like, that move we're talking about with the Jeffrey for Hyde, we're missing it. We pretty much essentially traded Alshon Jeffrey and Tom Brady, because he cut Tom Brady in this trade, for Hyde, and you're not going to believe it, guys. Randall Cobb. What a joke. I traded him last year to tie for Chris Carson. Never forget. Never forget. But back to the real trade. What a haul, man. Highway robbery. You trade away Alshon Jeffrey and you put Tom Brady on the waivers? Wow.
I'm not going to trade for like 2014 Randall Cobb.
Yeah, like we traded for like Aaron Rodgers and Randall Cobb across the middle, 60-yard touchdown. Like, no, not happening. I just think that's a joke. Moving on to the move that people should make. Con, you're 3-1, but Kupp and Godwin, they're just not cutting it. I will trade you one of my 4 stud running backs. Just come to me, baby. Let me know what you want. We'll make a move.
They aren't cutting it. They put up like 40 each last week.
They're not going to cut it all year. They can't put up 40 each every week and get you a dub, is what I'm saying. I'm sorry.
I think they can.
Well, I think you're wrong, Doc, and I'd love to talk to you about it. No, I'm just kidding. All right. So we did our moves of the week. Doc, what do you got next for us?
So, getting away from football here for a little minute, we have the watch of the week. So, all 3 of us, I'll begin. You pick a movie or TV show that you watch and it's super good. For me, I am watching season 2 of Mindhunter on Netflix. It's a show about where they're coming up with the term serial killer. I think it's really interesting. There's some crazy shit in there. It's just unreal. Casey, what do you got?
Mine is, dude, the all-time champion, Rocky. Dude, the Rocky movies are on Netflix 1 through 5. They don't have Rocky Balboa, the final one where Rocky's out slugging at like 70 years old. But the Rocky series is on. I have already watched 1 through 5 this week alone. I'm a bum. I know. Get in there, tune in. Big Daddy Weem. What do you got for me? What do I got to feast my eyes on?
I'm going to plug my favorite show, SmackDown, moving to Fox tomorrow night at 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
The Rock's going to be there. Andre the Giant's going to be there. I'm pretty sure he died like 50 years ago. But, I'm really, really pumped for it. Some very real wrestling. I think they said they're going real with the move to Fox. So I'm really excited for that show.
There's going to be dead bodies.
There's going to be dead bodies like, me.
I can't, like Ben a couple of weekends ago. Hit me up if you want the video. Add Bigger up on Snapchat. Okay. Doc, what's our questions, the 3 tough questions of the week?
All right. Question number 1. How does Todd Gurley end the season? A running back 1, a running back 2, a flex, or a bench?
Yeah, let's go with you, Ben. Why don't you start?
RB2. I think he's going to score enough touchdowns. I think he gets into double-digit touchdowns. I don't think he eclipses 1,000 yards rushing. He might get close to 1,000 total yards, but I think with when you're on a good offense and you score a bunch of touchdowns, you're going to get a lot of points. But I still don't think he gets the volume to be an RB1. But I think he's going to be like mid-tier RB2.
All right.
Chris?
I think he's going to be an RB1. Honestly, I hate to say it. With how we've seen it, it doesn't happen. But, the stat just came out. Jared Goff, in his last 12 starts, 11 touchdowns, 14 picks. That's bad. I think they kind of get away from passing it so much. That's why I kind of said it hurts Con with Kupp. I think they're going to take the passing attack back a little bit. They are going to give Gurley the ball more. I think that he just gets, good yardage. I think he, like Ben says, I don't think he gets quite, to the yardage he had last year, like maybe, 1,000, 1,100. But I think the touchdowns start coming in buckets here for him. I think they're going to slow it down. They're going to try to get more, ground attack going. Means more yards, more touchdowns. And I think they actually decide to, maybe the best receiving back behind McCaffrey and maybe my boy Saquon. But, like, get him in the passing game. And Kamara. Yeah, I can't forget Kamara. And get him in the passing game. He's one of the best. Get him in the passing game. I don't know what's going on.
So, I have Todd Gurley for the rest of the season, or he ends the season, as a flex.
Wow, that's really bold of you, Doc. Wow.
I just don't think the volume's going to be there. I think they're kind of saving him, for the end of the year. Those last, 3 or 4 weeks, he might be like a running back 2, running back 1 then. But I really think they're going to try to save him. That offense is obviously powerful. They can put up a lot of points. 3 wide receivers, super good. So moving on to question number 2. How does James Conner end the season? Running back 1, running back 2, flex, or bench?
Well, I'm going to say flex in this one because I think that he had his week here, but I think that they are going to start using Jalen Samuels a lot. I think that Jalen Samuels could eventually take his job. I also think James Conner, in addition to being injury prone, isn't that good at football. I'm saying this not being mean, cancer survivor, he was well documented, really good dude. But the dude only got a job because Le'Veon sat out. I think people forget because of that happening, he would never have played if Le'Veon was playing last year. So I think that everyone's been good at Pittsburgh offense until now, obviously, because we don't have Big Ben. I think their O-line is not quite as good as it has been in previous years. I think he finishes as a flex, and I think that he could be even a bench player by the end of the year. But I think just because he had this one big last week, I think he finishes as a...
Okay. See, I think we need to clarify. The RB1 is 1 through 12, RB2 13 through 24, and flex would be anything past 24. So when we say that, just so everybody knows.
Correct.
I fucking hate James Conner because he's really hurt my fantasy team. I took him in 2 out of my 3 big money leagues this year. I'm disappointed, but I still think he finishes at RB2. Right now, after that big week, he is at RB1 level, and the points per game gap is already 2 or 3 points per game. I know it's early, so that's kind of good. I think he sustains it. I don't think he has these big weeks like this, but I think he slowly throughout the season drops. But already having that big spike to RB1, he's got 10 spots to fall before he's outside of RB2. He gets the volume. I agree with you, Ben. I think Jalen Samuels gets used more, but I don't think it takes away from Conner. I think we see Samuels line up in the slot a little bit more like he has been a couple games, and I think they're going to do it at the same time or on the same set where they have Conner and Samuels. They've done that a few times this year. I don't know if it's working because it's only been one game where they've scored sustaining drives. I don't know. But I think James Conner stays at RB2. Just a low-end RB2, though.
I agree with you, Chris. I have him as an RB2. And that, I think, is just because volume. They have a backed-up QB in. He'll get tons of touches. They're going to run those screen plays like you saw against Cincinnati all the time. These little checkdowns just to James Conner and also Jalen Samuels. I think Jalen Samuels could be a flex option each week. But I think it's going to be a running back 2 for James Conner. Question number 3. How does Juju Smith-Schuster end the season? Wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, flex, or bench?
I'm going to say wide receiver 2 on this one. I think that's kind of just basically off of volume. If one receiver in offense, you're generally going to be in that wide receiver 2 to flex range. I think Juju's got all the talent. I think he had one bad week last week. Otherwise, he's put up 15 plus the first 3 weeks of the season. I said all the talent in the world. Kind of has some tougher matchups. I think that Mason Rudolph is not good, but I think he's good enough. And I think that as they kind of play some teams that they can't run on, obviously they played Cincinnati and they were able to control the game the whole time. I think they'll be using Juju more. I think he's gonna be a wide receiver 2. I'm not gonna say high end. I'm gonna say middle to low tier wide receiver 2. That's where he's gonna finish at least.
Well, I want to start off saying Juju is the 39th ranked wide receiver right now. So right now he would be a flex. I made a bet with my friend Austin, and my friend, I think it was Colin at the time, or I don't know who was in the chat, but I made a bet that I think that Juju Smith-Schuster is outside of the top 15. Actually, I think he's outside of top 20, or could be outside of top 20. So I would make him a wide receiver 2. But since Ben made a good argument, I was going to say flex, but I'd stick with wide receiver 2 here. I do think he starts to see a little bit more touchdowns. I do think that they get to the goal line a little bit more, meaning a little bit more options for Connor and for him. I just think that they score a little bit more once Rudolph gets kind of used to the offense. What do you think, Doc?
I think Juju will also be a wide receiver 2. I think he'll have about 10 targets a game, 7 catches, so that's a pretty high floor, honestly. So that's 7 points right there. That's probably about 60, 70 yards. That's 14. I mean, that's a solid game.
That's like wide receiver 1 numbers, dude.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What's next?
We have our Week 5 matchup preview.
That's what we're here for.
All right.
All right. So
explain me how we're gonna format this, boys.
We're gonna introduce the matchup, and then we'll go. I'll start. We'll go to our guest, and then we'll go to Doc last. Okay.
Okay.
All right. First matchup of the week is the powerhouse, Johnny, me. Look it up, Johnny. Look it up. Tweet it.
Don't look it up.
Versus newcomer.
I've never seen it.
All right, Doc. Yeah, it's your favorite video. You have it saved on your phone. Come on. All right. In this matchup, I think it's tough. It's my matchup. I think it's a tough matchup. I like where my team's at right now. I think Pittsburgh's defense isn't that good. I think Lamar does well. I pretty much preface everything, I pretty much own the whole Ravens offense and the whole Giants offense. I know, I really know how to pick them. So I hope the Ravens do okay. I do agree with the guys. I think Minnesota kind of shuts down my Giants players. I think Evan Engram's kind of foolproof. I don't think he gets stopped really by our linebackers. I think we see Barr get toasted one too many times for me to pick them. Looking at his team, he's got Zeke. Oh, it's awesome. Hawkins, awesome. Fitzgerald without Kirk. I mean, he's been doing good regardless. He's going to just see an uptick maybe. I don't know. He's pretty much got the yin to my yang right here with Cortland Sutton. Just Austin Hooper, number 2 tight end, 2 right behind my guy, Evan Engram. I actually pick newcomer here. I think it's a lot closer than people want to give us credit to. I think it's 131 to 120. So we'll go to Ben now for the Johnny newcomer matchup.
Well, not a heck of a lot more to add. I think newcomer has to ride Zeke and DeAndre to a win this week, but I don't think he's going to. I think that the rest of his depth is pretty bad in my opinion. I think I don't think Fitzgerald and Sutton are that good. And I don't think that Phillip Rivers with Melvin Gordon being back is going to do well the rest of the year. So I just think that that's just too much to overcome, and I think you're playing a little bit too well right now. I think you're riding hot. You had a bad week last week, still got the win. I think your team just bounces back nicely. I think that we're saying that the Giants that the Vikings are going to shut down the Giants players. We gotta remember that the New York's at home. I think that one of them is going to play well, and I think that's all that you really need. I'm going to say 130 to 106 in favor of Johnny in this one.
Oh yeah, I wanted to hear that. Talk me up. All right, Doc.
I'm going to pick newcomer. I just see way too many good matchups for him. Zeke, Sony Michel, Hopkins, Fitz, Hooper, Sutton. I like all those guys this week. That being said,
Sony Michel has had probably the easiest schedule so far this year and has done nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
So I don't think that's relevant for Sony Michel. But continue.
Hit him.
As for Johnny, I think he still puts up points this week. I'm a little questionable on the Melvin Gordon start. He hasn't played yet. You don't know what he's going to do. Unless you got some insider information. But,
I do.
Yeah, figured so. I'm going to pick newcomer. He's going to put up 132. And Johnny is going to put up a 115.
All right. Well, I'll take it, Ben. Thank you. I appreciate you're the only guy picking me. I even picked against me. I hate it. All right. Next matchup. Dokk will start this one since it's his team. We're going Drogans versus the Touchdowns.
So I'm looking at this matchup right now, and I mean, I like my matchups a lot this week.
Of course.
Just being honest, Montgomery at Oakland, I think he finally breaks through. Mahomes is going to give me like 25. Diggs is a big question mark. I don't know. He'll either snap or he won't do anything. Calvin Ridley, good matchup. And as for Downs, I don't like the Derrick Henry matchup. I do like the Kyler Murray matchup, but that's about it. So I'm going to say I win 120 to 104.
Well, okay then. Am I up?
Yep.
All right. Well, I think that Dak wins a landslide here. I think David Montgomery puts up big numbers. I think this is his breakout game. I think that Fournette continues to play well. I don't know how many times Fournette's going to pop off like he did last week, but I think he just gets the volume, and that's just way too much. But other than that, if you look at Downs' team, I just don't like. Obviously with the Rays have crippled his team, in my opinion, and pretty much crippled all of the depth that he had to start the year. I think that with being Le'Veon with like a third-string quarterback, I just think that just hurts him so much. I'm saying sub 100 again for Downs this week. I'm saying 95 to like 145 in favor of Drogans.
Yikes. I love to hear it. I don't know. This is a tough matchup for me. It's not because they're good. These teams are on the downward trend. Overall, Dokk is doing better. He's picking it up. But, I agree, Downs, you help me out. I appreciate you, but you shouldn't. These trades you're making, man. Hit me up. We'll get you on the right path. We'll trade something. All right. Here, I actually don't mind the matchups on Dokk's team. KC, Mahomes is just a monster. I don't know other way to put it. I hate it.
Yeah.
But Montgomery and Oakland, without their quarterback, you would think they would pound the rock. Leonard Fournette, they're gonna need to lean on him, man. I think Minshew's out this week, so they're on their third string quarterback. I think it's Joshua Dobbs. Let's roll. Come on, you're handing the ball off. So Fournette gets big volume. Diggs is a bitch. I hope he has a terrible week and we trade him. Just kidding. I hope he has a big week. But Calvin Ridley, I don't think he's anything special this year. For some reason, Julio decided to score more touchdowns in 4 weeks than he has in the last, on average the last 4 years. But Ben Watson, it's the game he could pull it out, but I just don't see it happening. I think it's his first week back. Downs is playing DK Metcalf right now. I'm not gonna look at the score, but I assume he's not doing much. We said Lev Bell versus Philly. Philly has stopped the run. They just haven't played the Vikings yet, so they don't know the wrath that we're gonna put on them. But just not a lot of good matchups there. I'm gonna have to go Drogans with a solid 121, a good showing, versus Downs 106. Of course, I just see what I just saw and I hate that. Wow, I sound like an idiot now. Moving on to the next matchup. Po-Top Colin Bottom, a.k.a. the Commish. Daddy Con versus Rick Big Dick Hammerhog Rangers. Let's go to Dokk with this one. Why don't you start?
That was a DK Metcalf touchdown.
As I was speaking, DK scores a touchdown. I look like a bot. Damn, 40 yards too, of course. Good job, Downs. You're way better at fantasy than me.
So, starting with the Commish, Roger Goodell's team. His running backs, Josh Jacobs has not been doing anything this week. Joe Mixon was a boom pick, a start pick for me, I should say. I think he will get 20 points. Carson Wentz will have a good game. As for the Rick Rangers, I think Nick Chubb won't have a 40-point week like he had, but I think he'll be solid. Another 20 there. With that being said, looking at the matchups, I gotta give a slight edge to the commish. I'm going to say it's going to be 131 to 126.
All right. Big Daddy Weem, what you got for me?
Well, I feel like I brought this up on the Hawk earlier this week. Tune in if you're listening. A lot of receivers on the same teams. In this matchup, we got Godwin versus Evans, Woods versus Kupp. It's very hard for both receivers to just pop off. And I know that the Rams and Buccaneers actually played each other last week, and actually all four of those receivers popped off. But the combined score in that game was almost 100 points. It's not going to happen every week.
Really?
I don't think so. I don't think it's going to happen every week. But I think that, obviously it hinges a lot on tonight, Kupp versus Woods. I think that's going to be the key to the matchup. Whoever I think one of them is going to play really well tonight. I don't know who. If I had a bet, I'm going to say Kupp on this one, because I think Kupp's absolutely just an amazing receiver. I think it's going to be the key to the matchup. I'm going to pick, it's kind of weird. I picked Eric in the other podcast, so I think I'm going to pick Con on this podcast, because that way I can't lose. So I'm going to pick Con in this one. On a pretty high scoring affair, I'm thinking 165 to 152 in favor of Con.
Ooh, so we're putting up another huge week out of PTCB. I love it. All right, looking at this matchup, PCB baby, miss it. Club La Vila. Looking at this matchup though, I've always loved Rick's team. I swear, I think I pick him to win every week. I'm only right half the time. Let's get that average up here. I think Chris Carson is a menace. I love him. He's one of my guys. Love him. I hope he has a shitty year so he comes to the Vikings or something, but whatever. In the matchup, like you said, Ben, it's really hard to see, we have a receiver on each team here. I think actually it falls in favor of Rick Rangers this week. I think Robert Woods has a better week than Kupp. Don't ask me why. I think I'm just trying to be ballsy. Mike Evans gets it back. I swear those guys switch it off every week. It's Mike Evans. It's Chris Godwin. It's Mike Evans. I think we go back to a Evans week. Ertz versus Waller, going into the season for a tight end matchup, you would have not thought that was a close one unless you did some research. I think Waller wins it this week. I think they have to give him the ball. They have to get him moving down the field. And then Alshon pretty much essentially against Will Fuller. You're picking Alshon. Why'd you trade him down? Why? I'm picking Rick Rangers, 128. Poe top, Colin bottom. The commish, Elsa sandwich to 105. It's a tough game for you, but off a high streak here. Next matchup, Recycling Bin versus Ruppy's favorite place on planet Earth, Sniffers Row, Deja Vu. Doc, what do you got for me?
Looking at this matchup, I love Recycling Bin. His matchups are just so good. He has Tevin Coleman in his starting lineup right now, but he has backup in Mostert, so he has that covered. Mostert, whatever. Mustard. That's how he runs. Anyways, I expect big days out of his two wide receivers, Julio and Michael Thomas. As for Sniffers Row, starting two Green Bay guys, come on now.
What a bitch.
Yeah. He's supposed to be a Vikings fan. Anyways, I think he goes to 0-5, picking Recycling Bin. 135, Sniffers Row falls to 0-5 and scores 110.
Big Dick Ben, what do you got?
Well, I'm kind of in the same boat with you, but I think that it's going to be kind of a shootout. But I do like Recycling Bin this week. I think that his big three have all been playing really well. He's been kind of putting up a lot of points, taking zeros and out of the third receiver that he starts every week, which is pretty insane, honestly. But I think I'm going to take Sniffers Row in this one because I think Dalvin's going to put up 50 this week. I think we come out with a vengeance. I think the Vikings put up 56 points. I think I predicted 35 in our predictions, but I think we actually put up 56 if I could change that. I think he is going absolutely in. I think that also I think Edelman and Brady both kind of get on track this week. I think that Brady kind of had a bad game. I think that they're going to try and make an effort to make it right. I think Brady and Edelman both play well. I said high scoring affair, just like the other one, but I think even more high scoring. I'm going to say Sniffers Row 175 and to 158 in favor of Sniffers Row.
Sniffers Row.
First win.
We're on the board. I couldn't disagree more. I love Russell Wilson. We saw how Jameis Winston just obliterated that Rams D. I think Russell Wilson's poised to do it again.
Well, we know he's already thrown 1 touchdown, apparently. So.
He's got 2, 165 and 2, but I'm unbiased. I should be on the hot. I'm unbiased here. But I'm picking recycling bin here. I think DJ shits all over Cincinnati. I think either Tevin or Mostert, but if he'll play well, I hope. I don't know. I hope it's Tevin Coleman, but Julio Jones is just a menace, and that Julio secondary is dog shit. I picked Michael Thomas to bust, but like he could also bust a nut and just go crazy. I mean, it's hit or miss with him. Mark Andrews, I hope he catches like 16 touchdowns because that means my boy Lamar is throwing it to him. So whatever. Over to Sniffers, Tom Brady. Like I said, I picked him as my bust. I honestly don't think he's gonna have a huge game. I think they're gonna try to get everybody else going, like Sony Michel. I know it should have happened earlier, but I think they really make an emphasis now after 4 weeks of just nothing from him. Dalvin, hopefully he just goes crazy for us, but James Conner versus that Baltimore D, swear, I think it's going to be a tough game for him. Moving down, I mean, Jimmy Graham and Valdez-Scantling. Valdez-Scantling is just, I would not want to depend on him, and I think Jimmy Graham doesn't do much either. I'm picking recycling bin with a fat dick to the face, 155 to Sniffers Row, 108. Steep, I know, nothing but big dick baller bandit shit. Next matchup, we'll start Ty's tent. Ty, where's my tent, dude? To Shroot Farms. Little story behind Ty's tent. A couple years ago, Wheat Fest. Austin's out of town. He's out messing around. We don't get him back. We're waiting. Ty comes back to the campsite. I thought he packed up the night before. Dude looks at me, goes, "Where's my tent?" And it's history from there. He literally got his whole tent stolen. Shout out Ty. All right, Doc. The matchup is Tyler versus Michael. Let me hear some hot takes.
I think it's going to be a low-scoring game.
Thanks for matching the energy.
Yep. You're welcome. Anyways, I think McCaffrey is going to have 25 points, and that's basically his floor. He's just way too good in PPR. That being said, I don't like the rest of his team. Matt Ryan, I guess, will have a good day, but that's about it. Looking at Shroot, I like Aaron Jones, and Aaron Rodgers versus Matt Ryan will decide this matchup. Whoever scores more will win, and I'm going to pick Shroot winning at 106 and Ty's tent only 95.
Ooh, okay. Well, I can't really. I hate to say it, I can't really agree with you any more than that. I think it's going to be a very low-scoring game, but I think for different reasons. I think the Packers kind of don't do anything, like I said before, against Dallas, in Dallas. I think it's going to be kind of a slugfest again, like I said, both to kind of ride the defenses. I think the ultimate key is, I guess, like, tonight we have Gurley versus Cooks. Will either of them play well? I have no idea. We're almost at halftime. I have no idea who's playing well, but I think McCaffrey does play really, really well. I think that's just like the key. I think the best player, like by a mile, is in this matchup is McCaffrey. Without Adams, I just don't see Shrew really putting up that many points. I'm gonna say Ty's tent. Pretty solid win here, 110 to 106.
Okay, well as you were talking, we just had a big fumble from the old man Todd Gurley. Under review, but I don't really know on this one, boys. It's hard because I don't want to pick Ty's tent. I just want to see him suffer. I don't know why. But I don't want to pick Mike either because it means Green Bay has to do well. I think, honestly, I'm going to have to go with Shroot on this one. I like Cooks to get a nice long touchdown today. I can see it. Disley's a menace. He's been so good since he's got the job. I mean, they're trading guys to give him more time. It's awesome. I think Chris Thompson has a nice game. I think especially he's been putting up like 10 points, 12 points. That's, low-end running back 1 or running back 2 flex options. I mean, I like it. Like we said, we already know Gurley fumbled. I wasn't going to pick him to do very well either. I'm going to pick Shroot Farms 128 to Ty's tent. Do I do the disrespect? The 99.9. Yeah, a little bit of disrespect there. All right, Now we're with our last matchup with our guest, Big Daddy Weem. We're going to give him the most time, so he'll go last. It'll go me, then Dokk, and then we go to the United States of America. Looking at this matchup, I just fucked Ben up. I love it. He had a bad week, I had a bad week. The king came out on top. Let's roll. Moving on. I like Brissett in this matchup. Brissett over Watson. I'm taking Brissett. If Damian Williams plays, I'm going to cry because I can't play Darrell Williams. Shout out Ben. But I'm taking Kamara in that matchup. Eckler over Cohen, just because I don't think Cohen... I don't know, man. I don't know if I like that. Smith-Schuster, Odell. This is a really powerful matchup here. I think Odell gets it. Just looking down, Travis Kelce's going to help. McLaren, I'm just not excited if he plays.
McLaurin.
Whatever. Yeah, whatever. You're right. But I hate it. I don't know what I want to do here. I have to go. Do I go in the division? No, I gotta go Ben here. I know. Sorry for the questions. I just think there's too much firepower between Kamara and Robinson and Kelsey. I think Robinson has a big week. Like we said earlier, Chase Daniel knows how to lean on the guys that make him successful. He's not a guy out there making huge plays. I think Cohen maybe scums another touchdown like he did last week. I got to go Big Daddy Weem. Blacking out tracks at 128 to 118. Dokk, what do you got for me?
I like Deshaun Watson better than Jacoby Brissett. They're playing a dome against Atlanta. Atlanta can't defend worth shit. As for my pick is going to be Comerica, a solid 118, and Trax is going to be 108. I think he has Eckler and Tyler Lockett will be good, but I just don't like his tight end or flex and Cook and Gordon. Mm-hmm. That's about it. Comerica, what do you got?
Well, I just had a notification come on my phone that Tyler Lockett caught a touchdown, so I don't like that. But I just don't think that there's a lot of firepower. I think Eckler loses his job this week, like I said. I think that his ride at the top is over. And I think with that, I think also Damian Williams, I think him coming in kind of muddles everything. I don't think that there's a Casey running back who can start, other than maybe Darrell. I don't know, but I think that that's it's gonna be a three-headed monster back there. I think that they're all gonna get a lot of 10 carries each. I don't think they're gonna be doing much. I just don't think there's quite the firepower on Trax's team. I don't know why you would take Brissett over Watson in this situation, but hey, your opinion. We can revisit it next week. I'm gonna say 180, not 185. I'm gonna say 118 to 96 in favor of me. Not a high-scoring matchup,
I'm taking Brissett there purely out of necessity. He needs to have that week. Overall, I'm definitely taking Watson, but I would take Brisket in that one. Dokk, moving on to the Grinds My Gears. Go ahead. Why don't you give us the first segment of Grinds My Gears?
You know what really grinds my gears? The fact that there's defenses in fantasy football. So dumb. Take them out. Make it completely offense. Defense, the touchdowns does not freaking matter at all. That's it.
That really grinds your gears. How about you, Ben? What do you got for me?
Well, mine is just more of a personal note here. You know what really grinds my gears? The fact that I've gotten a combined, and I'm adding them together here per week, 8 points for my defense and kicker combined per week so far the first 4 weeks. That really grinds my gears because I think the defense and kicker should not matter, but you know what? It is part of the league. I'm not really, playing for it.
Retweet!
The dogs that I was picking up would perform. And it really grinds my gears,
That really grinds your gears. I don't know why I keep saying it like that, but it's fun. What grinds my gears is the hatred that I have for my Minnesota Vikings. I hate what we're doing. Another thing, it's not Kirk's fault. Kirk is not great, but Kirk could be better if we were better. That's what grinds my gears. I fucking hate the Vikings, but I love them. But I hate them just as much, and I hate that. That grinds my gears.
That made sense.
Yeah. Whatever. Go ahead, Dokk.
With that being said, that's all we got for today's episode. Shout out to Comerica for being the first guest on the premiere episode of
Yeah, a lot of boys. I'll talk to you later.
So, again, some takeaways. If there are any ideas for the LFL punishment, send them in. Also, if anybody wants to be in the Listeners Fantasy Football League, let us know. We'll make it happen.
It'll be fun.
Until next time, thanks for listening to The Scoop. Casey, signing off.
See ya.